Right now, somewhere in the Pacific Ocean, a young sailor aboard the USS Gerald R. is making a choice no warrior should ever face. His shift ended 3 hours ago. He's been awake for 19 hours straight, monitoring radar systems that can track threats 200 miles away. His body is screaming for sleep. But there's another problem. He desperately needs to use the bathroom. He walks down 3 ladder wells and arrives at the nearest head. There's a line, 15 sailors deep. The wait? 45 minutes. He looks at his watch. He looks back toward his rack. Sleep or bladder? Which one breaks first? This isn't a story about warfare. It is a story about plumbing. The USS Gerald R. is America's newest aircraft carrier. $13 billion of cutting-edge technology. Electromagnetic catapults that launch 33-ton fighter jets from 0 to 150 miles per hour in 2 seconds. Radar systems that can track a baseball from 200 miles away. This floating fortress can project American power anywhere on Earth. It can survive direct missile hits. But in 2017, it was nearly brought to its knees by something you can buy at a gas station for $3. Baby wipes. The greatest threat to America's carrier fleet isn't Chinese missiles or Russian submarines. It's toilets. Specifically, 493 vacuum-powered toilets that fail so regularly, the Navy spends $400,000 at a time just to unclog them. $400,000 just to flush. October 2011, the USS George H.W. Bush. At its worst moment, 423 toilets failed simultaneously. 4,800 people, one ship in the middle of the ocean. No working toilets for weeks. Sailors lined up for 45 minutes. Male sailors resorted to bottles and sinks. Female sailors suffered urinary tract infections that medical couldn't handle. This wasn't an enemy attack. This was an engineering challenge that nearly ended a deployment. These carriers represent the finest naval engineering on Earth. But they're fighting a losing battle against something microscopic: calcium carbonate, the same stuff that clogs your shower head at home. Except on a carrier, it doesn't just clog a drain. It turns the entire waste system into concrete. If you're proud of the sailors who deal with this nightmare every single day, type "steel nerves" in the comments below. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on the crisis nobody talks about. The chemistry that turns pipes into stone. The people who risk their lives fixing it. And why a $13 billion warship can be challenged by a pack of baby wipes. Here's what makes carrier toilets different from your home. Your toilet uses gravity. Water flows down. Simple. Carrier toilets use vacuum pressure. Negative air pressure pulls waste through pipes at 37 to 62 miles per hour. Highway speed. For human waste. Why vacuum? Water conservation and environmental regulations. Old toilets use 2.9 to 5 gallons per flush. Vacuum toilets use just 0.5 gallons. With 5,000 people taking 15,000 bathroom trips per day, that saves millions of gallons. International maritime law requires ships to hold waste for 12 hours when within 3 nautical miles of shore. The vacuum system makes this possible. Sounds brilliant, right? American engineering solving complex problems. But there's a chemical issue nobody anticipated. Carrier toilets flush with seawater. Seawater contains calcium and magnesium. Human urine contains uric acid. Mix them together, you get calcium carbonate. Limestone. Imagine your arteries filling with cholesterol. Blood flow decreasing, until your heart can't function. That's what happens to carrier waste systems. The calcium carbonate hardens inside pipes, shrinking a 2-inch diameter down to less than 1 inch. The ship's veins slowly calcify into solid rock. But calcium isn't the only problem. There's something worse. Baby wipes. Regular toilet paper disintegrates in water within 30 seconds. Baby wipes are made of polyester and polypropylene. They're designed specifically not to fall apart when wet. When sailors flush baby wipes, they don't disintegrate. They get sucked through pipes until they snag on calcium buildup. Then they act like a net, catching everything behind them. Toilet paper, more wipes. waste, creating what engineers call a rag blockage. The vacuum system has grinders designed to chop waste, but wipes don't get chopped. The synthetic fibers wrap around grinding blades, fouling the motor. Now combine calcium deposits with rag blockages, pipes already 50% narrower. Then add tangled wipes acting as a dam. Total system failure. And the controller managing all this? The crew calls it R2-D2 because it looks and sounds like the Star Wars droid. This R2-D2 unit is incredibly sensitive to vibration. When the carrier cuts through heavy seas, the ship's movement can shake loose pneumatic connections. The vacuum seal breaks. The entire system loses pressure. We can launch a jet at 150 miles per hour using magnets, but we can't flush a toilet because a sensor thinks the ocean is too bumpy. October 2011. The USS George H.W. Bush. Brand new ship, latest technology. Then 423 toilets failed. Simultaneously. That's 86% failure rate. The Bush is 1,092 feet long, 3 football fields, 20 stories high, 4,800 people aboard. When your bathroom goes down, you don't just walk next door. You climb 5 or 6 near vertical ladders, walk hundreds of feet through narrow passageways, navigate through hatches and corridors. Sailors described walking 25 minutes, passing through 3 sections, finding every bathroom marked out of order. Lines for working toilets stretched 30 people deep. Wait times hit 45 minutes. These sailors worked 12-hour shifts. They average 4 to 5 hours of sleep per night. Losing an hour just to use the bathroom isn't inconvenience, it's torture. Male sailors found workarounds: bottles, industrial sinks, buckets emptied overboard at night. Female sailors? They had no workarounds. They held it. For hours. For entire shifts. Medical saw an explosion of urinary tract infections among female crew. These are pilots trusted to fly $70 million aircraft in combat, grounded by toilet problems. The crisis got so bad, the Navy distributed WAG bags, portable toilet kits used by mountain climbers, plastic bags with chemical powder. Imagine, a sailor monitoring a nuclear reactor, operating billion-dollar technology. And when nature calls, he's squatting over a plastic bag in a shower stall. But the worst incidents involved pressure reversals. When pipes get blocked, but vacuum pressure keeps building, the system looks for escape routes. Sometimes through an unlucky sailor's toilet bowl. Sailors called them the Brown Eruption. A volcanic eruption of sewage exploding backwards. Coating bathrooms, sailors, everything. One hull technician described entering a berthing head to find the ceiling, walls, and 3 sailors covered in sewage. The pressure had blown the toilet seat off its hinges. This wasn't unique to the Bush. The entire Ford class uses the exact same system. Same narrow pipes, same sensitive controllers, same vulnerability. The USS Gerald R. Ford, the USS John F. Kennedy. Every one of these $13 billion ships fights the same battle. How do you fix pipes that turned into concrete? You can't snake them. The blockages are too hard. You can't replace them. They're buried inside the hull. There's one solution: acid. The Navy pumps concentrated industrial acid through the entire waste system to dissolve calcium deposits. Cost? $400,000 per treatment. Think about that. For $400,000, you could buy a brand new Ferrari. You could pay the full year's salary of 10 sailors. You could fund a small-town school for a semester. Instead, it's getting pumped through pipes to dissolve crystallized urine. The carrier pulls into port. A specialized hazmat barge pulls alongside. Contractors in protective gear pump thousands of gallons of acid solution into the system. It sits for hours, eating away calcium, then gets neutralized and pumped back out. But you can't dump this waste overboard. The acid dissolved calcium, magnesium, and heavy metals. It's toxic. The barge transports it to shore for EPA treatment. All this infrastructure, all this cost. to make toilets work again. And here's the brutal part. It's not a one-time fix. Initial Navy projections assumed acid flushes would be rare emergencies, maybe once in a ship's 50-year life. Reality? The Government Accountability Office reports acid flushes have become unplanned recurring maintenance. They happen regularly, multiple times per year. The Ford needs roughly 4 acid flushes annually at $400,000 each. That's $1,600,000 per year. Over 50 years, $80 million, just for toilet maintenance. The GAO identified the root cause: design flaw. The pipes are too narrow for the crew size. In plain English, the toilets were broken by design, from day one. And there's no fix. The pipes can't be widened without rebuilding the ship. The crew can't be reduced. The chemistry can't be changed. The Navy's stuck. For 50 years, every Ford-class carrier will fight this same battle. Behind every toilet crisis stands a group of sailors most people never see. They're called hull technicians, rating code HT. The crew calls them Turd chasers. These sailors joined the Navy dreaming of advanced welding, repairing battle damage, saving ships in combat. Reality? They spend careers crawling through sewage with a snake cable, unclogging pipes. HT sailors are part of the snipes, anyone working in the deepest, darkest parts of the ship. While pilots get glory on the flight deck, snipes work 7 decks below where sunlight never reaches. The primary tool? A snake. A thick metal cable, sometimes 164 feet long, manually fed into pipes while someone cranks a handle. This carrier has radar worth hundreds of millions. But toilet repair uses medieval plumber tools. HTs work in crawl spaces barely wide enough for a human body. Temperatures hit 120 degrees Fahrenheit, and they're breathing poison. Decomposing waste produces hydrogen sulfide gas, H2S. At low concentrations, it smells like rotten eggs. At deadly concentrations, it kills you. Here's the terrifying part. At lethal levels, H2S paralyzes your olfactory nerves first. You stop smelling anything. You think the air cleared. You think you're safe. You're not. You're seconds from unconsciousness, minutes from death. HT sailors wear SCBA gear, the same breathing apparatus firefighters use, just to enter pump rooms. One HT described the procedure. Gear up like you're entering a toxic zone, because you are. Crawl into a space barely tall enough to crouch. Your headlamp shows pipes crusted with waste. If your breathing mask fails, if your glove tears, you're exposed to pathogens that hospitalize you for weeks. And if you pass out from H2S, your buddy has 30 seconds to drag you out before he has to leave you or die trying. The worst part? The social cost. The smell doesn't wash off. It permeates clothing, hair, skin. When HT sailors enter the mess for dinner, other sailors notice. They shift away. Tables fill up except the seats next to HT guys. One HT described sitting alone in the corner, watching pilots laugh at popular tables. He looked at his calloused hands, still raw from industrial soap, still smelling like chemicals and worse. You defend the ship, but the ship doesn't want to sit next to you, even if he just spent 12 hours preventing the ship from becoming uninhabitable. If you ever served on a carrier and dealt with a toilet crisis, or if you know what a wag bag is from experience, drop your story in the comments. We know you have one. But through all this, the HT community developed something remarkable. The strongest brotherhood on the ship. They're the only ones who understand. When an HT shares his last energy drink after a 16-hour shift spent in a waste tank, that gesture means more than any medal. Their unofficial patches say it all: crossed pipe wrench and plunger. The motto: we fix what you break. We don't fix mechanical failures. We fix human stupidity because they know. The system fails because of people. Baby wipes that shouldn't be flushed. And HT sailors fix it, without complaint, without recognition. Because if they don't, the entire ship fails. Sleep deprivation is standard on carriers. Sailors average 4 to 5 hours per night during deployments. Add toilet problems. You've been on watch 12 hours, you're exhausted. You have 6 hours before your next shift. But you need to use the bathroom, and there's a 45-minute line. The choice becomes mathematical. Wait an hour for a toilet, losing sleep, or hold it until morning. Navy medical studies show shocking numbers of sailors choose to hold it. They skip the bathroom for an extra hour of sleep. The consequences? Urinary tract infections, kidney stones, bladder issues that follow them after service. This shouldn't exist on a $13 billion warship. Imagine you're a young sailor, fresh out of training. You enlisted with pride. You watched recruitment videos showing sophisticated operations. Instead, you spend days in the lowest deck where you can't stand straight, where air is hot and toxic, manually unclogging sewage. One HT wrote home, "Mom, I haven't seen the ocean in 2 weeks. I haven't seen the flight deck in a month. I work until my hands bleed, and tomorrow it'll all be clogged again." The ancient Greeks told the story of Sisyphus, condemned to push a boulder uphill, watch it roll back, then push again, forever. HT sailors live that myth. They unclog pipes, restore the system, work 16-hour shifts, and then someone flushes baby wipes. It clogs again. The boulder rolls back down. Tomorrow they push again. There's no victory, no final solution. Just the same battle day after day for years. But here's what makes it bearable: the bonds. When you're shoulder deep in a waste tank at 2 a.m. and your buddy holds your safety line, you develop connections beyond friendship. When you share the last energy drink after a brutal shift, sitting on deck plates too exhausted to walk, covered in grime, and your buddy tells a joke that makes you laugh, that moment matters more than any medal. The HT community bonds over shared misery, and somehow that makes it stronger. They have an unofficial saying, "Nobody else knows what we do. Nobody else could do what we do, and that's why we do it." So here's the answer. How does a $13 billion aircraft carrier armed with 75 fighter jets get brought to its knees? By $3 baby wipes and the chemistry of seawater. By design flaws that can't be fixed without rebuilding from scratch. By the mathematics of 5,000 people sharing limited infrastructure in the ocean. This isn't about weak engineering. American naval technology remains the finest on Earth. This is about complex systems with unintended consequences. The vacuum waste system solved real problems: water conservation, environmental compliance. But in solving those problems, it created new ones that turned out worse. And the people bearing this burden aren't the engineers who designed it, not the admirals who approved it, not the politicians who funded it. They're the 19-year-old from Ohio who crawled through a bilge last night with a breathing mask and snake cable, unclogging a pipe that will clog again next week. They're the 22-year-old female pilot grounded because she developed a kidney infection from holding her bladder too long. They're the seasoned HT chief with 15 years who sits alone in the mess because nobody wants to sit next to someone who smells like the job they just did. These sailors won't be on the news. They won't get medals. Their names won't be remembered. But every time you see an aircraft carrier, remember this: those ships only float because people like the HT sailors are down in darkness, fighting battles nobody sees. The next time you hear about our $13 billion supercarriers, remember that somewhere on that ship, a sailor is choosing between sleep and bladder. Remember that another sailor is suited in hazmat gear, preparing to crawl into toxicity to fix a problem that will never stay fixed. The real strength of the American military isn't the technology. It's the people who make that technology work, even when the system is broken. They're not heroes because they fight enemies. They're heroes because they keep fighting even when they can't win. The boulder rolls down, the shift ends, and tomorrow they push it back up. Because that's the job. Because their shipmates depend on them. Because someone has to do it, and nobody else will. Hitting that like button does more than just help the channel. It forces the algorithm to push this story of silent sacrifice to millions of other Americans. Don't let their reality stay buried in the dark. We don't just cover the glory, we cover the reality. Thanks for watching. And next time you flush a baby wipe, Remember the HT sailor somewhere at sea who's going to pay the price.